Welcome to Investing Doc, where physicians like you take charge of your careers and build the lives that you deserve. I'm Brad, and each week we'll explore strategies, stories, and solutions to help you master entrepreneurship, grow your wealth, and thrive in business and beyond. All right, today let's focus on the silent killers of new practices, the three things that I like to call indecision, isolation, and inertia. Every new medical practice faces threats. Some of the most dangerous ones aren't even financial or clinical. They're internal. In this episode, I'm going to break down the three silent killers that sabotage new practice owners before they want to start or even scale their practice, or even before they get off the ground: indecision, isolation, or inertia. I'll share some personal stories, red flags to watch for, and the exact shifts that helped me and others break free. I'll share some personal stories, red flags to watch out for, and the exact shifts that helped me and others break free and grow. All right, everybody, welcome back. For those of you guys that are new, my name is Brad. I own a multi-million-dollar practice of primary care here in Texas, and I've grown it out of love and just hard work. But on the side, I've been consulting now with almost 600 of you guys that I've consulted with, which is wild to think in the past 3 years that I've met 600 of y'all. But all right, so first off, let's just say that when I started up my own practice, oh my God, I was so excited to be shifting from hospital work and employed work, I should say, to doing my own thing, but quickly came overwhelm of starting a practice. All right, so let me just set the tone for this episode, okay? This isn't a how to start a practice from scratch. It's more about why some practices never truly get going, why I've noticed some of you guys that I've consulted with never made the leap, and even applies to why some people have never scaled beyond themselves. All right, so the first one, indecision. What does this look like? Well, I mean, for me, let me tell you what it looked like. It looked like me obsessing over my business plan. I couldn't tell you how many times I had a freaking Excel document being like, well, what if my rent is this? What if it's going to be $5,000 instead of $3,000? What if I'm going to need 2 MAs instead of 1 MA to start out with? I just constantly was tweaking and playing with these Excel spreadsheets for months, and it never went anywhere until finally I said, screw it. I know it's profitable. It can be profitable. Let's just do it. Obsessing over the perfect EMR, it doesn't exist. What you need to focus on, though, as a business owner is forget about the documentation side of things. Forget about the lipstick. There are some that are much prettier. Like Athena is way prettier than the one that I have, Advanced MD. I don't care. I don't care that it looks a lot nicer. What I do care about is that Advanced MD is significantly cheaper. I pay about $600 a month versus like $5,000 a month for Athena. And I care that it has everything. It has real-time insurance eligibility. It has all the metrics. If I want to know how many front copays are missed from collecting at the front desk, I can find that out every single day if I want to. I can pit every single front desk against each other and see who's doing the best and who's doing the worst. The other things that I constantly will talk to a lot of you guys about for indecisions are switching between, well, should I do cash pay and should I do insurance? Look, those are two dramatically different pathways, and you can be dramatically and amazingly successful in either or. I personally think, in the way that I consult with a lot of y'all, I think this is almost like, are you doing surgery or not surgery? You need to pick in the very beginning. Are you going to do cash pay or are you going to do insurance? Starting out with a hybrid of doing like 20 things all at once rarely works out well. You could start out like I'm doing in fee for service, insurance based, and then adding on cash pay services along the way. I think that could be very successful. It's a little bit harder to do it the other way, starting cash pay and adding on insurance services. But you need to figure out what is the vision of the practice that you want to do. Is it a more DPC or concierge style or cash pay? Or is it going to be insurance, fee for service? That's step one. Figure that out. Don't get on the indecision of flip-flopping back and forth. Go with it, and just, you can always adapt in the future. All right, the next indecision for scaling is, should I hire another provider, clinician? Should it be someone else? And I will tell you that some of you guys are like booked out like 6 months in the future, and I'm just like screaming at you like, hell yes, you should do it if you want to grow and you want the headaches of growing. That's the first question to ask is, do you want to deal with the business side of things? Because if you got an amazingly profitable thing, I've met some of you guys that have just an amazingly profitable clinic already. And I have to be the devil on your shoulder. It's like, do you really want all the headache of growth and then lowering your income when you've got such a great thing already working here? Like, what is your end goal? But I will tell you that a lot of times when it's starting, or more times scaling, if you want to scale it, it's the delaying of, oh man, the money's good. I know I want 5 locations, but I've just been dragging my feet at hiring another physician or another PA. You got to jump all in. If you want to hit that 5 locations, you got to grow, and you got to make sure your finances are there, your business plan's there. But if that's what you've decided on, again, back to indecision. If you've decided that you're going to grow, go all in with it. Let me tell you about my indecision too with our first EMR. It was called Practice Fusion, and it's cheap. It's cheap for a reason, okay? Patients hated it. I hated it, but it was cheap. It was something that I was just terrified about because I was like, well, I don't want to sign up for an insanely expensive EHR. And I think that's why a lot of people get sucked into Athena, is that it's a very powerful EHR. But the problem is like, okay, you don't have to pay them until you get paid, which sounds amazing, versus like Practice Fusion, they charge you at the front of the month, or Advanced MD charges you at the front of the month, their flat fee. But it wasn't that big of a deal switching EHRs. Okay, yeah, it sucks that all my notes didn't copy forward and I had to basically start from scratch, but I could push forward all the labs, all the imagings. I could basically just have a better system with this new EHR that whenever I made the switch, yeah, it was a pain in the butt, but it was for the best. It was a Band-Aid that needed to be ripped off, and I could have paid a computer engineer like $50,000 to $70,000 to actually bring all that data over, but I didn't, because I still get access to our old EHR, and I just figured, you know what? If we ever need it, we can go back and look at it, but we're just moving forward. If you're stuck in the indecision loophole, you need to get to the root cause. Is it fear of regret? Is it pressure to get it all right and perfect before you go live? Is it perfectionism disguised as planning, that you're just over planning absolutely everything? Guess what? Business is crazy. There's always something that breaks. There's always a fire to go out. At the time of making this podcast, my freaking website's been down for 48 hours because we just switched over from a new hosting plan right before we're trying to go live with 2 new clinics. My website was already at its max traffic, and I decided to go live with it to give us a little bandwidth there. So when we have 2 more clinics, we don't run up against bandwidth limits. Yeah, it took our entire website down for 2 days. That sucks. All right, so then how do you fix this? I think 80-20 decisions. Aim for good enough that moves forward. Use deadlines. I will decide on my office lease by Friday at 5 p.m. Build a decision muscle. Small choices, commit quickly, move on, adjust as necessary. You have to make decisions as a business leader, and sometimes they're not going to work out, but the only decision you need to make is put yourself first, make sure you take care of yourself, and then put patients next, right? All right, isolation. That's the next topic. And this is one that I'm even guilty of myself. Oh God, I'm guilty of it so many freaking times. You're trying to figure out every single thing on your own. Maybe you're embarrassed to ask. For some of you guys, it's feeling embarrassed to ask the basic business questions to your peers, or avoiding physician groups because of negativity, judgment, or your employer doesn't know you're about to jump ship. I'll share with you guys that mine got pretty deep at the very beginning. I had an employed job, and even though I didn't have a non-compete about anything switching from hospitalist to primary care, I didn't share my story with anyone. I wasn't telling anybody that I was opening my own practice. Why? Because I met with the biggest regional clinic here in the town that I'm practicing. And I'll never forget, the CEO of that regional clinic looked at me and he said, you know, Brad, when your practice fails, good luck finding another job. What the hell is that, man? When my practice fails, not if, when my practice fails. And I'll tell you what, he really got in my mind with that one. So I was so scared that I was going to be a laughing stock because I couldn't make it successful, that I wasn't telling anyone that I was starting my own practice. I was like, shit, I'm doing this under the radar. You know, that way, if it fails, then I don't have to go walk with the tail between my legs, telling everyone like, oh, can I have a job at the big clinics in town because I couldn't make my own practice successful. So then that led to me, yeah, I got a lawyer, but then that led to me trying to figure everything out myself. I built my own freaking website. I set all our own servers, internet up, everything. It was so much time that I spent doing this rather than hanging out with my family. If I could go back, I would just pay the money. It was not my time well spent because I'm not a network engineer, but I had to figure it all out and set up a Unify system and everything. Don't go down that rabbit hole. The isolation will get in your way of rapid growth. I think medicine teaches us to be like the lone heroes. I don't know about you guys, but like whenever I was in residency, they were just constantly like, once you're out as an attending, you're basically on your own. Good luck. You're like an island out there and you got to figure it out. Sometimes you can call your friends for help, but otherwise it's just you. I think also there's a lot of pride that goes into it. I think a lot of people in medicine are very prideful. You know, we want to do our best work. We want to perform well. We want to be the smartest people in the room. You don't want to look inexperienced going into it. And then also with that, there's a fear of criticism or comparison. Like, oh, so-and-so, Tom over there is building a way better practice than you. Who gives a shit? All right, good for Tom if he's building an amazing practice. I'm building my practice. I'm building it the way I want to build it. But I got stuck in the isolationism. And honestly, that's what led to this podcast, this vlog and everything. Is just basically me getting it out there because my wife loves me. But she was like, look, man, you can't continue to just keep ranting at me about this kind of stuff. you got to talk to other people about this. And then as I started putting it out in the ether, I've had lots of people follow along with me. So how did I fix it? I started ranting online about it. I ended up finding some Facebook groups, which actually I've been kicked out of at this point in time, as I've started my own groups, such as Reddit and things like that. I guess once they found out about that, I got kicked out of those Facebook groups. And you know what? I just started asking other people, like my family member, my brother, who started a multi-billion-dollar business, just started asking him for advice. He has just a ton of wisdom. And sometimes the advice to business is just universal. You provide good care, you're available, people feel like they got a great value. Those things are going to take you a very, very, very long way. That's the hard part, though, is you got to set those systems up for succeeding. All right, the next one is inertia, or the final one is inertia. What do I mean by inertia? Well, if you have your website that's half built for 8 months, and it's just totally unacceptable. You got to finish it, move on, go on to something else. If you're never sending out that grand opening email, just do it. Who cares? You got to get that fear out of your mind and just do it. If you keep telling yourself, I'll do it when X happens and X keeps changing, then that's a problem. Okay. You need to stop moving the goalpost. For me, I'll tell you that my inertia was actually getting started. Like that person, when I went to the big regional clinic in town, when your practice fails, oh shit, okay, maybe I'm not going to start it up. Then I started talking to other people. You can't do primary care like solo anymore. It's not possible. Yeah, it is. I'm doing fine. Okay. I didn't know that at the time, but a lot of people were putting fear in my mind, which then drugged down my inertia. And I was scared of looking like a fool. That was my biggest thing, is I was scared of basically being a failure and an idiot. But the funny thing is that now I look back and I have this guy group chat. I don't know if you guys or gals have like a group chat of like some friends that you just end up keeping on chatting with, but I still chat with them, and they're all the hospitalists that I used to work with, and they're all still hospitalists, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being a hospitalist, but they all complain hardcore about how they're just a pawn. They don't love their job. They absolutely hate every day that they show up. They feel totally replaceable. One of them got terminated because someone else took the job for a lower salary, so they just let him go. I think if I would have let that inertia, the lack of inertia, continue, I would have probably been in that same boat of just complaining all the time. And I think that would have been a much worse risk than actually starting up a business. And I don't know. I don't think at the end of the day, I would be as happy if I was complaining all the time like that versus just doing my own thing and saying like, screw it. If I fail, at least I tried. At least I stepped up to the plate. And that's the way that I look at business now. When I'm setting up this MSO behind the scenes, or when I paid like $30,000 to set up my new website and rebrand everything. Yeah, you know what? I was like, this could all flop and everyone could tell me that was the stupidest decision in the world, but at least I'm stepping up to the plate. You never know if you're going to hit 1,000 home runs with one swing of the bat or if it's going to just be a strike. Who knows? But all I know is that at least I'm in the game. If you find yourself having no momentum, burnout's there. All right, break the big goals into small, tiny, consistent actions. Set a launch date. Reverse engineer it. How the hell are you going to get there? You want to launch in 7 months? Okay, you got to start through credentialing. You got to find a space. You got to find every single thing, turn it into bite-sized, attainable things that you can accomplish. You know what? Sometimes public accountability. If you tell someone like, hey, check in with me in 3 months. I'm going to be at X point and I better be there. And if not, you need to take a look. Do you really want to go down this path? You need to take a hard look in the mirror and say, do I really, really want what I'm doing? And the dirty thing about anything in life, medicine, renovating a house, it always takes longer and more money than you want. So don't get beat down if it doesn't hit that exact goal. It's probably not going to. You're going to tell yourself, oh, I'm opening in 6 months. Yeah, it'll probably be more like 9 months, but at least you're on the path and the goal is going to happen and it will happen. But like many things in life, don't get discouraged when it takes more money and more time than you want. All right, guys. Let me know which one of these 3 things is holding you back right now the most. Feel free to email me if you want me to consult with you. I'd be happy to. I'll have my website back up soon. The fact that you've even thought about building your own practice or scaling your own practice, you're in rare company. Like, we're the dinosaurs, but I think that the pendulum is going to swing to where we are going to be the most important people in medicine in the future. Reach out to me if any of you guys want to chat. Thank you guys so much for following along and all the encouragement. I'll see you guys next week. See y'all next time.